What is a service dog? So I get this question a lot, and I understand where people are coming from. They want their dogs to travel with them on the airplanes and to have public access with them and things like that. But also, we need to take a step back and say, what is my dog capable of doing? So, high probability that if you have a shelter dog, a rescue, adoption, you know, they don't have the genetics inside of them, high probability to be able to handle, to do tasks in the environment, insufficient distractions. Usually it's going to be that the dogs are skittish, they're not environmentally trained, they loud noises, they're all over the place. That wouldn't be service dog material. Service dog material is usually you have a genetically selected bloodline, and they are genetically selected to do the service dog type of work. And the dogs that were not able to handle the obedience and sufficient distractions, that those dogs wouldn't make it to the next breeding program, I would imagine. So this type of dog, it's very serious if you want to go this route. The dog has to have obedience training, and I made a video on what is obedience training. Obedience training is you say the dog does under sufficient amount of distractions. That is a dog that is able to handle his task, and that's the material that we're looking for. So for the way that we train our service dogs, if you drop an item, your wallet, your keys, the dog should be cognitive enough to look and pick up the object and give it to you. That is providing a task, that is providing an essential task to the handler, and that is a good way to go for service dog. Another way is CNI dog. I don't do CNI dog, but the idea is you teach the dog to pull to the corner, and when the handler is at the corner with their walking stick, they have to determine when to cross. They use their other senses, but that would be the dog's job. Now, a service dog, the way that it's raised or in the genetics, is not really seeking the full attention of other people and not seeking the full attention of other dogs. So, I mean, can you imagine if you have a service dog and every time you saw another dog, it just pulled the owner towards the dog? It's not doing his job. So that's what I mean, that the dog has to have it inside of him to do it first. There needs to be obedience training layered over that. There needs to be environmental training. And then the dog needs to be able to do it under sufficient distractions. So if you get a rescue dog that's skittish and you go to the train station and the dog is all over the place, we have to take into account animal welfare. And I wouldn't want to push that dog to do the obedience straight off the bat like that because it has issues. So that's what I mean about the phone calls of, oh, well, Robert, when I'm sad, the dog comes over to me and he lays his head on my lap. A service dog's job is not designed to provide the handler comfort. That would be an ESA dog. But the ESA dogs are banned on their airplanes and things like that. They lost their restrictions. So now you need to have a dog that can be obedient in the environment and be able to handle his job in sufficient distractions. Then those dogs you're able to travel with, that they're ADA protected because they provide an essential task to you. Now, therapy dogs, people do ask me about that. I would say therapy dogs are very political. If you want to go for the therapy dog, you need to do your due diligence on which hospitals and nursing homes that you want to visit and what do they have affiliations, collaborate with, and what do they recognize the organization behind the therapy dog. Because you're going to see that maybe you didn't do the due diligence, and the five nursing homes in your area, they're all under, I'll make it up, New York therapy dog. And you did under, you know, therapy dog for, you know, Manhattan or something like that, a different organization. So now you won't have access here, and they're going to tell you that we don't recognize your organization, and you have to go and go through the program for what we do recognize. And then you're going to see that their program is totally different. It's 6 to 8 months. You have a year that you have to shadow. That's what I mean about you really have to do your homework on who has the most collaboration affiliations, and you go that route for your therapy dog. So service dogs, they need to have obedience, they need to be environmentally trained to stay on their tasks. ESA dog, just a letter from your doctor, has nothing to do with obedience. Therapy dogs, your dog needs to be comfortable with people touching. The dog needs to want to play with other people. The dog should be able to perform tricks and things like that. If that's the way that the dog is built, then you go that route. So it's all about understanding the dog that you get and not to push for the dog that you don't have. So that's my understanding of the subject on service dog. What is a service dog? The dog has to be able to perform a task on cue with heart and soul, and that's treading the territory of Michael and Bart Bellin school, NAPOPO, where when we do obedience training, we want a love for the exercise. So for the service dog, the dog would have to love to pick up objects that you do drop. That's the key secret, the love of the exercise. Now, for therapy dog, the dog must love to want to do tricks and interact with people, but a service dog has to do his job. So it's totally different. And then an ESA dog, that's a letter from your doctor, nothing to do with obedience. So I hope this clears up or puts another perspective on this topic. And it's a very serious topic for me. If you want to train your dog to be a service dog, he has to have obedience, he has to have environmental training, and he must do his task under sufficient distractions. If the dog cannot, then you don't have a service dog.